why don't we go ahead and call this meeting to order and rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have to do that every meeting? If you have several meetings in the day?
Yes. Multiple times a day I do that. I'm happy to do it. We have public... Oh, thank you. Let me check. Yes, I'm good. Thank you. So I don't need you in public audience because you actually have a presentation unless you have something other than the presentation for public audience. Okay. So is there anyone else who'd like to speak for public audience? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. So we have to set the dates for next year. And I put together some dates, and I put together 5 dates, and I thought we could add special dates after. We can put them on. The reason, my thinking there was we're about to head into the budget cycle. I have them here, sorry.
Oh, okay.
And we can add more if you want now, or just do them as needed, as special meetings. But these are the ones we sort of came up with in terms of the budget cycle and vacation cycle.
So it's off every other month?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we can always add more if you want. They become special meetings, or if you don't like this system, we can add them now. So it's I open it up to your discussion.
You can make a regular
I'm just
meeting
gonna say
30
how
days
that-
in advance, can't you?
Oh, I don't know.
What was the
I think
question?
if there's 30 days notice, you can add it to the schedule of regular meetings.
You make a special meeting 24 hours in advance.
Right, but
Right.
I think there's something like 30 days, some notice period, and you can amend the regular meeting schedule. So if you want to have a meeting where you can discuss other things than the agenda items.
So this would give us enough time if we did a February and we decide we want to have a March meeting, but I'm telling you right now, we're not doing a March meeting because that's in the middle of budget cycle. But any other
Well, it's
ones-
strategic. I mean, you've
Right.
picked out,
Right, we picked out ones that I just know where there's going to be conflicts. But we can always add one, so I'm not objecting to that. And if we can, they're 2 months apart, so if we know February 2nd we want the March meeting, we could do it then, and it's 30 days out, and so it's not a big deal.
That's Babby D for sure, but I think that's the case.
Okay.
I have one question that's slightly related, and that is, would there be any interest in the committee members here to consider doing the meeting at another time of day? I've had people say that they find it very hard to attend the meetings because they are in the afternoon and they're at work or whatever. Is there any interest to consider that?
We could. I will say I'm out 4 nights this week, so I don't have a lot of evenings open to me, other than Fridays.
What would happen if, how some meetings are at 6? Does that fit anybody's thinking here?
It does, except staff finishes their day at 5, and so that makes it harder on staff. We do ask staff to come to a lot of night meetings, and this would be an additional one. I'm reluctant to do that because our staff goes to more night meetings than any other staff in the Farmington Valley by a lot.
You're just giving me some answers that I can
Yeah.
give back.
Okay. I'm not averse to doing it, especially if we have a special meeting.
Well, see, I'm probably flexible enough that I don't have to be considering it for me. It's just that
Yeah.
I just thought I'd bring it up. This would be a good time to bring it up.
I would say if we do want to do that, I'll have to check these dates because I'll have to
I
check
just
with
put
staff and see if they're available.
I've put the thought out there. If there's any thought to be continued, that would be helpful. That's fine.
Well, we can hold and vote on these at the next meeting, right?
I don't-
Have time? Yeah.
I don't mind voting on the dates.
Okay. Well, if you want, all right.
I like the dates,
Okay.
and the time and place are fine, too.
Okay.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, that's an important one. That's why we're doing it then, because we're open space, and we all need to wear plaid on that day.
Isn't that in the budget season?
It's my heavy budget season, but it's not the board budget season. That's
Okay,
where I'm
so not the
preparing the budget.
meetings.
Yeah, so that should work okay. Can I have a motion to approve the proposed dates for the
So
regular
moved.
meeting?
Second.
Okay, so we'll go with...
Who seconded that?
We'll go with Helen.
Ellen, okay.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. So I have asked Bill, because I had called him on another issue, which now I don't even remember.
It wasn't as important.
But I have to leave. I have to go to, I don't even know what I got myself into, but I have to be down in Hartford at 6, so I have to leave at about 5 after 5. So I'll take over the chair once I step out. But we have a proposal from Sally Rieger with our thanks, and the Farmington Valley Water Association. Is that a combination?
This is Farmington, Lower Farmington River and Salmon Brook Wild and Scenic Study Committee. So we are a separate entity from the Watershed Association. We work with them, but we are not the same.
Okay.
If
So
you're going to start this, I'm going to recuse.
are you on this?
No, but I'm related to that lady.
Do you have a financial interest in this?
You bet.
We'll sit next to her, right?
All right.
I'm sorry.
The
Is Jerry
wild,
here? Where's Jerry? Okay.
He's recused.
No, he's coming, because he told me he was going to be here. All right. What you got?
So the Wild and Scenic Study Committee wanted to use some of its winding down funds to support a river steward pilot project. The river stewards on the upper river are actually paid. Ours are volunteer for lack of funding, and work in the summer, and they talk to people, educational and etiquette conversation. They have absolutely no enforcement power, but they do talk to river users. For example, things like to tell people it's not polite to fasten your paddle boards the whole way across the river to block passage to everybody else. But the other thing they do is they check certain conditions along the river. And what they found is there's a consistent issue of trash in many places along the river. So the committee as a whole wanted to try to do something about that, and one thought was to make some anti-litter signs. So we designed a sign. We wanted it to be at least English and Spanish to hit the two largest languages in our area, most frequently used. We sought some help for the Spanish. There is no Spanish for carry in, carry out, for trash or anything else. It's such a neat expression for us, but it's not tidy in Spanish. So we ended up with a bilingual sign that is basically graphic. It's aluminum, it's very, very simple, and that's the sign. So I can hand it to you guys so you can see it up close a little bit better if you'd like to.
Sally, the national parks have standard signs that they use. Is this similar to that?
They have bilingual signs. They don't look exactly like that, but they ask you to do that sort of thing.
So why aren't we using the national standard? And what was your thinking there?
They're a national park sign.
This is?
No.
No, this is our own sign. So we did 35 signs. Bloomfield has taken 7 to put along the river. And we're hoping other towns will use some on public space.
At the town's expense?
No, because we have the signs and we're happy to help hang them up. At the expense of your federal tax dollar. It's prepaid. It's National Park Service funding for the Wild Scenic Group.
So my only concern, I think it's awesome, is I would want to make sure we're doing something consistent in the Farmington Valley. I think you get more bang for your buck if everybody sees the same message. And so that's why I was asking if you're using a national standard or a state standard, DEP.
We asked Edith Pestana at the DEP for some guidance with language, and there's not short enough language that you can put on a simple sign in Spanish, which is why we went with that.
Well, do you have to have, you know how you just explain how it it's lost in translation. In other words, you cannot make it mirror,
Right.
Can't you just put two different things, say it in English one way and say it in Spanish another?
We used the graphic because my daughter, the Spanish teacher, her friend from Spain, Gauda, Edith Pestana, who's the DEP person who does English-Spanish things that we refer to, none of those people could give us any short, simple wording. So instead of having much language, we did it as a picture. Bloomfield, when I sent the sign out to towns, Bloomfield looked at it and said, we like that sign, we'd like something more outdoorsy on it, so we added the tree. But that was the response we got in our initial effort to ask the towns to comment. So we went with, we added the tree.
So you're not asking us for comments so much as you're just trying to tell...
We need to go through a process.
Okay. So the sign is what it is,
Yep, the sign is what it is.
and you're looking for us to, let's say, encourage, and by way of saying, yes, we will, let's say, propose that the town take X number, and I'm sure you can designate how many we might need, right?
Well,
Because the river and where they should be.
if I were putting them up, I would put up one in Terriffill, and I would put one up at Curtis Park near the river. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry, I think the soccer people in season have a trash can.
They do.
They do. So you don't need it up near the soccer fields, but down by the river itself, and then by the Pinchot Sycamore would be another place.
And how many, I'm sorry, I missed this, how many other towns are using this?
As far as, so far, Bloomfield,
Okay.
who has taken 7, for which we are appreciative.
So she's looking for us to make a proposal that the town participate, I assume.
Actually, we're not the deciding board on this, we can certainly make a, we can
But just
give our
make a
opinion.
proposal to encourage it. is
Yeah,
what
we
I-
could do that. Because I think it has to get approved by Culture Parks and Rec, Planning and Zoning?
Zoning and potentially conservation.
Oh, conservation.
Within Acton and Soils are adjacent to.
Wait a minute, the town owns the riverbank, right?
Yeah.
So the Board of Selectmen has to approve it.
Either park, I was deferring to Park and Culture just because it's an informational sign that's going on a park, therefore they have the say, like, because the question, although it's not in my memorandum, would be, is maintenance. Is this something the town will have to maintain these signs, or is I'm throwing this out there and turning to the individual who's maintaining the parks, are you willing to accept those signs there?
Probably the bigger issue and I think the maintenance piece we can handle. I think one of the bigger issues is that we have implemented the carry in, carry out at a couple other smaller parks. And so we're just not, the timing is good in a way because we're looking at posting some of these areas as well. So my only concern was we'd want to be consistent.
Right.
Or would it be, I don't know, we have to be, but, is it to our benefit to be? And that's something I think the Park and Rec Commission would probably want to weigh in on. But, certainly the message is good and the concept is good. And, for us, it's just a matter of kind of, making sure we tie it together. But
All right, so you'd be in favor of it, whether it's this sign or another sign that
Absolutely.
says the same
Yes.
message?
yes.
Okay, so my whole thing, I don't care what the sign is, and I'm not very good with colors, but I don't want Simsbury doing one sign, Bloomfield, Avon, or we do some signs in one park and some signs in another. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but maybe it's okay. Maybe that's not a valid consideration, but that's the thing that came to my mind.
We might have the best sign.
We may have the best sign.
Did I understand correctly, Lisa? This sign is not, the one we saw today is not the one that they installed in Bloomfield?
It is.
Oh, okay.
That is what they're using.
So it's going to be a universal sign along the river?
Well, I can't guarantee that it's going to be in every town along the river, but,
No, if it goes on the river,
yeah,
it will be this sign.
I can
Bloomfield and
speak for
Simsbury.
Bloomfield And if Simsbury wants that sign, Simsbury can have it. If Simsbury doesn't want it, then it's not going in Simsbury.
Okay.
We don't have an answer yet because my effort to mobilize volunteers from the towns, our committee has representatives from all 10 river towns. We have been meeting since 2007. People are tired. And so when I say, is there somebody from Burlington who would talk to Burlington Town Hall, I don't always get a response. So I may be doing another tour of the 10 towns, except I don't have to do Bloomfield, because Bloomfield's bought in,
So I'm going to a meeting tomorrow with the Farmington Valley towns. If I can bring this with me, I'll show them.
You are welcome to bring it with you. And
Oh, that's a good shortcut.
that's a great shortcut.
How much riverfront does Bloomfield have?
They have the Farmington River Park, which gets quite a lot of ad hoc use. Other than that, they don't have very much.
Right, so I think probably after Culture Parks and Rec, it would come to the Board of Selectmen, because you guys generally bring stuff to us upon your recommendation, so we'll put it on a Board of Selectmen agenda. Right, does anyone,
As long as it's not too big.
what?
It just has to be within the zoning regs, right?
Well, this is it, is it?
I don't know, you have to ask the zoning enforcement officer.
Well, yeah, that meets the regs. You have up to 20 square feet per side under the regulations cited in my memorandum.
How would these be attached to the tree? Because I have someone to my left who might want to know that.
You would drill holes in them. We did not have them drilled by the sign company, because if you're going to hang them on a kiosk, like you might like to at this Big Sycamore, where there's a Boy Scout built informational kiosk, you might want corners, 4 corners.
Okay.
But if you're going to post it on a tree at Curtis Park, you might want 2, center top and center bottom.
So this is just for Curtis Park and the Sycamore at this point?
And Terrafil.
Terrible. Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to recommend we'll do it to the Culture Parks and Rec Committee and the Board of Selectmen?
So moved. You said it.
All right. I'm not sure what the motion is, Bill, but you got it.
It's going to make a positive referral to the Culture Parks and
There you go.
Recs. And what was the other organization?
Board of Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen. For the proposed sign.
And can you write in the 3 locations identified?
Yes.
And may I ask Mike a question?
Yeah, let's get the second, and then we'll do it. Did you do the second? You did the motion.
I just posed, yes, the motion,
Is there
so.
a second for that?
Second.
Thank you, Dave. All right, we'll open it up for discussion and invite you to participate.
The question I wanted to ask you, Mike, is if it goes on a kiosk, like at the Big Sycamore, does it need a wetland permit to do that?
Only if you're constructing a kiosk.
Okay, so it could just go,
And then
if
just the caveat, I said conservation, that I was assuming that there'll be an installation for a signpost or something, rather than just either nailing it to a tree or using an existing kiosk.
Oh, this would be nailed to a tree and using an existing kiosk.
Would it make sense, we have the kiosk at the Sycamore tree. Would it make sense to have this in there, actually enclosed? And
yeah,
would it be better than, sticking it on a tree?
I would.
I would kind of think.
It's less sign
It's
clutter.
almost really what it's
Yeah.
for.
Right.
Have as an informational.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So no permit needed for that, right?
No, you just need to go to the zoning commission still, because you're installing, this strict interpretation, you're installing a sign, so.
But if it adheres to the regs, why do we have to, the commission itself doesn't have to deal with it?
Because it's a specially permitted use under the zoning regulations.
Can we get that fixed, please?
$252?
We're going to waive that fee.
We would waive that fee, because it would be the town.
Oh,
Hey, mister.
anyway,
All right.
whatever.
Yeah, can we get that fixed in the regs? Because that's crazy.
We're working on the zoning
All right,
regs.
thank
I
you.
understand.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. We'll go on to the forest management update. Jerry did email Eric Hammerling, Hanson
Eric Hansen.
about getting information from the state DEP. And can you just
Right.
update us on that?
We did, we've actually, Eric on our behalf submitted an application to DEP for the, now I'm drawing a blank on the title of the program, but basically it's a, they will come out and pretty much inventory the wildlife. It's a, actually it's through the Audubon, I believe. It's an Audubon-related program, but he did apply on our behalf. We approved it, so that's in the works.
And that was at no cost.
I'm sorry?
That's at no cost, right?
At no cost, right.
Could you
Beyond that, we don't have,
So I can-
there's no other progress to report.
So what is the name of it again? It's the,
Yeah, that's what I've got to get.
it's an audit done by Audubon of
Yes.
the creatures? Help me out, Don.
Fauna.
Fauna and creatures.
Yeah.
If this is the program of Audubon that I think it is, we applied for it on behalf of the Land Trust and also the Rieger family. They were not interested in the Land Trust because this part of the state was not particularly interesting to Audubon, whereas the Rieger Woods out in Barkhamsted was. So Eric may apply, but we shouldn't be surprised if Audubon is not motivated to work around here.
I think I caught it. Audubon is not interested in,
This part of the state, so very much.
oh, you mean the geographical part of the
Yes.
state?
Yeah.
Interesting. They don't deem it important.
It's
By
not-
way of what
It's not
reason?
as interesting to them as more westerly or more easterly parts. The central part is not particularly interesting to them as habitat compared to the others. I think is a correct statement.
Interesting.
So when will we know if they accept it, Jerry?
It would be, and actually, I'm just getting the title, I would say, it is in the minutes, it's the Natural Diversity Database.
Oh, Natural Diversity Database, it's in the minutes.
Oh, that's that DA, you see that, the four letters all the time in the reports, DA,
Here it is.
That may be a different program than I'm
oh,
referring to.
yeah, the NDDB.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that. Now I know what it stands for.
Did we have in mind this was a
Yeah,
a
NDDB.
prerequisite to restarting the forestry at Onion Mountain?
Well, there was an interest from members of this board to get that information. So, and he said it was free, so Jerry just did it.
The other thing we talked about last time was we were going to get that forestry project restarted at Onion Mountain, and we deferred voting on that at the last minute last time because Dave had to leave, and we didn't have all hands available for a vote.
Don, would you do me a favor? I remember at that meeting, you stood up and you asked Eric the question, and I couldn't hear what he responded to you. Do you remember his answer to you when you said, what if we, I think your question was, what if we don't do nothing?
I did ask him what we were losing if we just left it dead where it was. And he answered in a number of ways, but one of the things he said was there was regeneration of oak and white pine occurring.
That's what I didn't hear what he was saying.
And it's important to him that we foster that, open the canopy a bit more to help that out. That regeneration might be lost.
Of those specific species of
Yes,
trees. Okay,
yeah.
that's what I didn't hear him say.
And other beneficial evolution of the forest that would be helped by the selective cutting that he had in mind. I may say I've walked there since then. It looks to me like what the trees that have been marked they were marked with great restraint. There are relatively few trees are marked. It is not scary at all to look at what is proposed there.
No, I just didn't hear all of his response, and so I was wondering if you, thank you very much.
So there is an interesting dilemma we have, because the charge of this board is really in the purchase of open space, and it's not clear from council who, once it's purchased, who manages it. It may actually be conservation would make that call, and not this board. We could certainly recommend it. But I'm trying to get a little clarification from council as to who's the authority to give the approval.
It would be worthwhile, I would argue, if this board said, whoever approves this, we'd be behind them.
So that it would be subject, Helen, you had concerns, you would want the walkthrough and all the process.
I would want what?
You had said you wanted the ability to walk through with Eric and do the public outreach prior, which is what Eric said he would do, right?
If I understood, Yes, that's close. But interestingly, he responded with some good recommendations as to filling in the blanks with these, people coming, and I think that's good. That was good from coming in response to our questions. And I'm not sure if I said anything about walking through. No, I'm not sure. Can you refresh my memory?
One of the things Eric does before he does any cutting is he invites the public to walk with him.
Yes,
Yeah.
inviting the public and then do the walkthrough. Correct.
Right.
I don't do the walking anymore, so I
Okay.
expect somebody else to do it for me. But yes, I do remember that. Thank you.
And there was some questions, that Helen had some concerns about the project. I believe Conservation approved it, right?
We did.
I've been on a, let's say, study, and I'm just gathering my information. I'm learning an awful lot, and it's good stuff. So I hope to share it with you sometime soon. I'm just trying to put it together with my understanding and be sure that I'm able to share it with you, but it's been a good quest.
So are you asking that we delay a vote until we get this inventory?
The vote is to do what specifically? Proceed with,
Well, we haven't had a motion, but that was what
If I were to offer a motion, it would be that we ask staff to reinstitute the forestry project, which had previously been authorized by somebody, but had been interrupted by the departure of the logger. There was a question as to whether the best way to do that was for it to be put out to bid yet again, or for Eric to recommend someone to be chosen, and my motion would have been that that decision be left in staff's very capable hands.
I don't know that I would prefer one way or the other. I would like to just buy some time so I could just, complete my study, but I'm not sure that that would interfere, with what's going on here with the committee, or should interfere. I'm reserved that. I may just decide not to vote, just abstain. I'm not trying to be an obstructionist or anything, but I'm just,
No, I appreciate
that's understand.
Yeah, of course. So Jerry, who authorized the go-ahead on the plan?
Conservation.
Conservation did.
And I think, as far as the specifics of, I don't know that we've been back with the actual specifics of the harvest in terms of, as Don said, the basis of what trees were selected and although, from a conservation standpoint, Mike and Rachel for Robin, went out and walked the site, with Eric and myself, it's just to, particularly, I think, as it pertained to the concern with the wetlands that were out there, but I think just to look at the overall, project. So if you feel it's appropriate, we can certainly, have conservation revisit it and give final approval before that, anything happened. It might be a good...
By way of discussion, I just don't want to muddy the waters. I'm just trying to explain my position, and that is that if we are going to gather some more information, which is my issue, is that maybe we have a great beginning, with the plan as presented. It's a start, but questions have been raised as to whether or not that is a complete report to me, to us, and that what we were hoping to do was to gather more information, and
Like
that
what?
might...
I'm confused, Helen. What?
Flora, fauna, the habitat.
Eric was here
I know,
for a specific purpose.
I know.
I think to answer your question,
I know.
it does seem to me that this is somewhat obstruction.
I understand,
on your
Jerry,
part.
Jerry, and I think you're right. We got what we got from Eric Henson, and I'm not questioning that it wasn't quality work.
Right.
You've done great work. It's just I'm questioning that maybe there are issues that we, as an entity here, need to know more information about what we have. In other words, when you're doing studies about a certain holding, a certain tract of land, whatever, you want to really understand exactly what you have, identify everything so that you really understand it. And it is my opinion and only my opinion right now. I hope, to share with you how I'm finding out more information. It is my opinion that maybe there are some more pieces that we need to explore to finish our exploration and our identification of what we have.
So those are comments we could certainly pass on to Conservation, who is the authorizing committee as we understand it. I can confirm that with Bob. But, you could bring that back as the liaison to Conservation, Helen's concerns, when they do their consideration, when Jerry does it, and see if they want to pursue that.
That's a good avenue.
Wasn't this already approved, and the reason that it stopped is that the bidder withdrew?
That's correct, yeah.
Why does that restart the whole process again? Why don't we just get a new bidder? I don't understand.
No, it's not, the new bidder. I'm not talking about the
Well, it was
logger.
already approved for cutting.
I think Dave is asking why you're revisiting something that was approved by another board.
Because I feel that I didn't know what I was doing then. In other words, I feel like I'm learning something today that I didn't know if that was approved during my tenure. And I'm just questioning if we could do some more studies, that's all.
So, but I think to Dave's point, we're not the approving board as we understand it. You guys did approve it. That's what Bob seemed to indicate. So we can certainly give advice to them, but it's not actually our decision.
Okay, but it was initiated through this committee. The Conservation Committee Commission had nothing to do with it. I went back and found the minutes, and it was through this body that the RFP was requested and how the studies came back. And the Conservation Commission probably responded to it, probably had some oversight kind of discussion, but the action took place in this committee.
Okay.
I think actually the action took place
October
with
of
the Board of
19
Selectmen were the ones that initiated this. They were the ones that directed this, actually through the budget process as well, and designated.
These things the Board of Selectmen directed
Are
it.
the owners of the property.
Yeah.
Okay, it was just in the October minutes of 2013.
So it may have gone through open space. It may have been something you guys wanted. Were you on the commission though?
No.
Anyone? Just Helen.
No, actually, I was not at that. It was the only meeting we had that year, and I happened not to be here. But
Look,
I'm just saying, that's how it was initiated.
Yeah.
It was initiated in this committee. So I don't have my notes with me, but I'm just offering that information. And so if the Conservation Commission wants to take over, that's not my issue. I just was informing you that I found that it was initiated here.
Okay. So I don't know where it was initiated, but a couple of things have come up. You had some concerns about that acronym, whichever we're doing.
Database.
The database. So it does make sense to get that information because it's already underway. I don't know that starts or stops it, or it'll take a while to get to RFP anyway, so you could do both things. You don't have to hire someone when you do that. The other thing that's sort of come up, and we've had conversations about the land trust and McLean's and how we need to view this as, not just one forest, but the whole region. And can we find a way to have a comprehensive regional approach?
Those are the discussions I've been having.
Right.
With Chuck Howard, and I am meeting with Eileen Fielding. I've contacted Steve Payne, and this is a good process to go through, and it's going to lead somewhere very, very promising for us and take the pressure off the town as far as the resources that we don't have. And for the staffing, I mean, it should be a good thing to do something regionally.
Point of clarification, what action is expected from this committee on this subject?
Today? Or are you talking about the original?
In the context of the forestry management subject.
This committee asked Jerry Toner, I think it was Marjorie Winters was on the committee at that time, made a motion that Jerry Toner, I'm paraphrasing, produce an RFP to conduct and produce forest management plans for those 4 mountains, and there was no subsequent conversation after that until 6 months later, when the reports came back, and then there was, I didn't find anything to say that they shouldn't be done. There just was no subsequent, in the minutes, no subsequent, evidence in the minutes
Well,
beyond that.
So the minutes are just the motions generally, because to comply with FOIA.
It was passed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So once it got approved for RFP from here, Jerry would have then had to come to the Board of Selectmen for an authorization, because you can't, those contracts have to be signed. So the Board of Selectmen must at some point have approved it, and they would have done that after Conservation accepted what was proposed. I'm assuming because you guys approved it.
Seems reasonable.
So it did go through the process that you guys made the motion on. If you're having concerns about it, we can certainly ask Don to forward those concerns to the Conservation Committee as they get ready to restart the project or not. They'll make the call. And meanwhile, we can pursue, I think it's great what you're doing on the regional level. We should have conversations between the different land trusts, Camp Land Trust, we're already starting with Onion Mountain Park, the Simsbury Land Trust, and McLean's, because we're all trying to do this and it makes sense to coordinate our actions. So I don't think these have to be done separate, or, we can pursue all this. And I think it's a good thing to pursue.
Yeah, well, like I said, I just read the minutes for the Conservation Commission and this committee. I didn't go beyond to the Board of Selectmen and to see how it followed through. I don't have that information.
Okay, so what we could do is just we don't have to take a motion. You can just go ahead and bring it up at Conservation at the next meeting and go and do it. Now, in the meantime, I'll check with Bob D. just to make sure this board doesn't have to approve it, which I don't think we do from his initial conversations. And then we'll go from there, because it's already been authorized by the Board of Selectmen, as I understand it. Is that right?
That's correct.
So there's no referral?
No, just
No.
you just go ahead and raise it.
Will you see that it gets on the agenda for next time?
I will.
And then, Helen, you may wish to attend that meeting and speak at public audience there.
Oh, I was going to talk to Bill about,
We don't have public comments.
All
all right, let me,
You might want to write a letter.
We don't read letters.
Don,
Sorry.
then it's coming back to this board.
I just slipped.
are you referring to which specific meeting?
I think Lisa was referring to the Conservation Commission, and unless we have a public hearing, we don't invite the public to speak.
Correct, but is there, let's say, a specific date? You meet twice a month,
It would
don't
be
you?
the first and third
Okay.
Tuesdays.
Okay.
November 15th is our next meeting. So this will be on the November 15th meeting agenda.
Okay. So you should just go to it, and you might want to write a letter to Don.
To present into the record, or
And you
that kind of thing.
You can copy it to Mike and to Jerry, and they'll give it to Conservation. Does that make sense to everyone? Is that acceptable?
Yep.
I'll give it a go.
Is that acceptable to you, Helen?
I said I could
Okay.
make that effort.
All right. So, good. So no motion there, and we maybe actually finished this, and I could have taken the minutes and cursed you,
okay.
Lisa. Thank
That's all
you.
right.
Hey, Bill, you keeping up with us?
Sure.
Actually, I'm going to let you close it, because I do have to run.
Okay, better go.
All right. And if there are any agenda items you guys want me to put on next time, if you could just let us know that too. And I will bring this to the meeting tomorrow and get feedback for you on that.
Thank you. And so, am I correct that this group committee has approved this?
Well, we don't have to approve it, we gave it a positive referral.
Or pause, yeah.
Okay, so
So that's a good thing.
My next step is to go where?
Culture Parks and Rec.
We'll get you on, it's the first Thursday
So Lisa, I'll
in
just
December.
slide these under your desk.
Okay.
I'll get
Okay.
on there.
And I won't, feel bad if you
Oh, yeah.
don't use it verbatim,
Yes.
okay?
All right, thank you. All right, thanks. Thanks, guys.
The Conservation first Tuesday.
Even if at some point we do some, throughout the parks, do something different, we can do it.
Yeah.
This is the right thing. It is the right message.
Okay, everybody. Next item on the agenda is a trail connection to Onion Mountain Park update. Jerry, is that you?
It is, and I'll report, I did get an email from Steve Philbrook, who has been here in the past, and it represents the Canton side, the Canton Land Trust, and the Canton side of the trail connection. The work has been completed on the downed trees in the area on the Simsbury side, and the next phase of it, from his standpoint, is we need to coordinate. He's actually working with some scouts to work on further clearing the trail, but not using any mechanical type tools or any machinery or anything like that. It'll be all hand tools. We need to coordinate the blazing of the trails so that ideally, I believe the Canton side and our side would be using the same color scheme, which makes sense. So I will work with him on that, and then he's going to work on the actual mapping piece of it to update it, to update the maps and some other promotional issues in terms of email announcements and newsletters. So, I think it has moved along, albeit slowly. I think the next big thing will be for us to work with him on the blazing. The other thing too is that, as he noted, and we've talked about here in terms of going from the paint blazes to the actual aluminum. I think they were aluminum.
Plastic. We've been using plastic.
Yeah, plastic rather. And us really kind of transitioning over to the plastic blazes. So. Which makes sense. I've got that information, and I will talk with. I'll be in touch with Steve further on that to coordinate that. I'll report back at the next meeting.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Any comments?
None.
Okay. Move on to reviewing the minutes from the October 5th meeting. Does everyone have copies of the minutes? I'll just ask for comments on a page-by-page basis. So. Any comments to page 1? To page 2? Okay. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes as submitted?
So moved. Second.
Dave made the motion and Don seconded. Okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes as submitted, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Say nay. Any abstentions? Aye. Okay, so unanimous. Thank you.
Move adjourned.
Motion to adjourn made by Mr. Ryan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Helen. Thank you. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Jerry, you decided.
The last 2 meetings, I've asked you about that letter from Conservation and Zoning about groundwater. I'm led to believe that it's delivered to you and you guys are going to look at it. Does that ring a bell yet?
Yeah, that would be the.
I do remember.
So once that thing gets developed.
Yeah, so you could have one and hold it until the moment was ready.
But I think staff has it.
We're interested in getting them out,
Yes.
getting them used
Yes.
as best we can.
Understood. I think the first.
Okay, but it's in...